Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Daria. We have with us Ulas Kamath, Joint Managing Director at Jyoti Laboratories, joining in. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kamath, and always a pleasure to speak to you and get your insights in this space. Let me start off with firstly, overall, in terms of the results. The company has posted a good set of results. In fact, there has been a good recovery across all channels. What would you attribute this to?
In fact, the preparedness for COVID-2, because of our experience in COVID-1, has made a lot of difference for us at ground level. And we had a playbook how to go around the manufacturing, sales, the distribution, people, and also added to that all the precautions what is required for COVID. We were able to manage that. So that is the first reason the people made the difference for us at the ground. And there is just not just one or two states, it's across the country, the growth has come in. And as planned, we have got 21.7% top line growth. So it is absolutely good work done at the factory of producing. All the 23 factories went in for 100% instant capacity production, and people have done the wonders at the marketplace. And also we spent double the amount on advertising. So it's an all-round investment in people, and advertising and sales motion has given us the result.
Right. So overall, in terms of, I understand that we were pretty much well prepared for the second wave, taking learnings from the first wave. But did the quarter see any impact of the second wave lockdown? And if there was no lockdown, would we have seen a better number than what we already achieved?
I don't think so, because what happens during in FMCG product range is that if you're buying a detergent powder for a month, you tend to buy for 2 months if there is a lockdown. And if you're buying the dishwash for 1 week, probably you'll buy for a whole month. So we have seen up and downs in the lockdowns, opening, closing, especially Maharashtra and the interior parts of Maharashtra. We have seen that in Bihar. Now we are seeing in Nisa, northeastern states. We are seeing it. But the stocking will happen. And as that 85% of our products are coming in as essential goods, somehow there is a way for them to come and pick up and go, because the shops are open from 6 to 10, 6 to 11, 6 to 12. So this daily needs products will always get in home, any which way it's possible. And metros or big cities like Bangalore, Bombay and others, e-commerce will take the precedence there to supply the goods. So to that extent, we have seen in the COVID wave 2, e-commerce doing extremely well in cities and delivering the products. So it is just the supply chain should be in place, and you should be able to garner the demand and anticipate the demand and supply the products well in advance, so that you get the sales.
Right. And overall, in terms of if you have to divide it between rural as well as urban, has rural growth been better than urban growth this time around as well?
It continues to be better than urban growth. And in our company, 40% of our business comes from rural India, and that is growing at probably 1:1.3 extent. Rural is doing well, and urban growth is there, but rural is really doing well. How I'm able to see that is our smaller SKUs in our company used to be about 25% pre-COVID levels. Now, after the COVID wave 1, it is 30%. Now we are going toward 35%. So in entirety, all the smaller SKUs are coming from rural demand. And most of them probably could be first-time users or doing the sampling, and they're buying 5 rupee, 10 rupee products. So to that extent, we are getting that additional sales because there's a demand.
Right. So do we see a change with regards to the rural and urban revenue mix in future?
If it continues to be like that, then it becomes probably 50% of the business can come from rural, while 70% of the people live there. And historically, it used to be about 20-25% of our business used to come from rural. But what you have seen in the last 10 years is that rural is doing extremely well, and it continues to be well, but barring a couple of years in between. But in this 2020 April, when the government starts spending lakhs of crores of rupees on rural and for their betterment and for their livelihood and the direct transfers and better MSP, and spending the money on infrastructure where labor, about 20-25% of the cost will go towards the labor. Again, the rural get benefited by that. With all these things, we are seeing that robust, like a demand. And another thing is that maybe a lot of small players must have gone out of the market. Initially, we saw that during the demonetization time, then we saw that in the GST regime when implemented, and during the COVID time, probably the small players from the district levels may not be able to come back again. So that is also going to the organized players. So unorganized players probably got affected to that extent. And the price points which was not there in the past. Now it is available, like 5 rupee extra dishwash bar is available. 10 rupee Henko pack is available. So all the premium products, when it is available at 5 rupee, 10 rupee, why will they go for any other products? And as long as you're able to reach to the nearest retail outlet, then you always have a ready-made sales there.
Right. So overall, with all of this, if you have to see the different channels of sales, say from retail to general trade to e-commerce, to modern trade or your, CSD canteens, what channel is seeing growth? Because one, there has been restricted mobility with regards to where the sales team is concerned, in turn affecting distribution with regards to general trade. However, e-commerce, modern trade have been key focus points as well right now for FMCG companies. So is that the trend that you continue to witness now as well?
Yeah, very, very, very valid question, and your assessment is perfectly fine. Initially, in the past, it used to be 90% general trade and 10% used to be modern trade. Now the general trade has come down to 80%, and the remaining 20% is shared between the modern trade and the e-commerce players. When the modern trade is down, the e-commerce do extremely well during the lockdown period. They have done that in the last 1 year. Now for us, our e-commerce is about 5% of our business is e-commerce, and modern trade is about 10%. So another 5% we get it from 5 to 8% we get from the CSD canteen stores, because we are extremely strong in CSD canteen stores. So with that, 78 to 80% for us is now general trade, and balance shared between the CSD, modern trade, and e-commerce. E-commerce growth in the last 1 year is more than 100%. So this will continue. There's no doubts in my mind, because it's easy, it's convenient, and people don't have to really carry big things to home. Rather, they can get it from the e-commerce players. So according to me, it will continue.
Okay. And overall, with all of this, again, are we seeing a shift happening with regards to the revenue mix from the different distribution channels?
Yes, definitely the revenue mix, when it changes, a little bit of your gross margin profile also will change. And we are managing that price recovery. We are managing very cautiously in all the channels. We are managing in such a way that we have our gross margin in place.
Okay. And overall, Mr. Kamath, with regards to where, clear margins are concerned, there were headwinds this time around. Raw material prices have gone up. In current environment, distribution costs, logistic costs have also gone up as well, taking into consideration how crude has been panning out. So overall, how long do you think that we will be able to sustain with such kind of margin headwinds? And what's the kind of price hikes that we've already taken to eliminate this risk?
Last quarter, we have taken about 5% price hike we have taken. When we say price hike, it's a combination of the real MRP increase and also withdrawal of certain trade schemes. So together, better price realization has gone up by 5%. So 21% our top line growth, 16.5% is volume, and balance 5% is the value additional price realization. Now, the impact on our turnover because of the input raw material cost is about 10%. It's unprecedented, never seen that kind of hike in my 30 years of experience. In 1 year's time, the price going up as high as 10% of the turnover. We have seen 2%, 3%, 4%, but not 10%. And we thought it's for temporary. We thought it's 1 month. We thought it's 1 quarter, then 2 quarters, 3 quarters, almost a year we are suffering with the higher input cost. It's the first time we have taken that kind of a price hike. It has been absorbed in the marketplace. So when the overall impact was 10% of our turnover, 5% we were able to absorb because of the price hike. And because we are growing at 20%, you have that extra optimization, or I would say that you have better efficiency. That's about 2% scale advantage we got. And 3% we got a gross margin hit in the current quarter. Now, whether this will be here or will be going to be better, it's anybody's guess. But in the last week, 10 days, all the raw material prices are softening. And that's a good news. When it softens, as long as it's not going towards the north, we are okay. But if it is softening and going towards the south, maybe 1%, 2%, it doesn't matter. But at least we know that from now on, it could be better. And if the raw material price comes down by 3-4%, then we are perfectly fine to go back to our pre-COVID gross margin levels. And in the current quarter, one other thing what you have done is that we have spent our advertisement double. So on 20 crore, we have gone to 43 crore. The reason is that now our products are available up to 10,000 village population also, and we have increased our staff strength by about 400, 500 people. And we felt that this is the time to spend the money on the brand to get the top line, and we got it. So to that extent, it is a conscious decision which you have taken to spend higher money on advertising.
Right. And will this spend range continue in the future as well for the next couple of quarters? Will we do that 8.5% kind of net sales spend on advertising and promotions?
Yeah, we continue to spend. Probably we might increase a little more if, as long as you get the top line, you get the scale advantage, you get efficiency 0.5%, 1% here and there. So if you are able to manage the gross margin, and if you are able to get that additional efficiency, we would spend that more on advertising, because it is like you spend and you get the top line. When you get the top line, you get the advantage, put the money back in advertising. So we continue to spend. It will help us to launch a few other products also in the coming quarters.
Okay. And overall, in terms of where different segments are concerned, if you have to look at categories, where are you seeing higher traction right now?
Undoubtedly, dishwash, followed by Margo, toilet soap, and fabric care is always there. But the trend which I'm seeing for the last at least 5 years, which I'm seeing the trend is definitely the dishwash, which are growing. And during pandemic, we have grown 25% continuously on quarter. And Margo toilet soap also is doing very well, because the Neem positioned brand, and it's the only pure original Neem with 15% the Neem oil in that. So people are buying it, and we are just celebrating 100 years of Margo. So to that extent, first would be dishwash, then Margo, and then Maxo liquid is doing extremely well, and the fabric care has always been there.
Okay. And very lastly, overall, in terms of where the revenue mix between business categories is concerned, is that expected to change, or do you think we will continue to see around a 35-36% coming from dishwashers, around 25% from fabric wash, and the remaining from the others?
In fact, it is a mix has become beautiful now, and probably going forward, the dishwash might do much better than fabric care. Right now, fabric care, what it used to be 40% has come down to 35%, and what dishwash used to be 30% has gone to 36% of our business. And HI, it used to be 15, now we are at around 14-15%, and personal care used to be 10, now we are gone to 13%. So overall, if I'm able to get probably the personal care towards the 25%, and HI should be at about 20%, and between fabric care and the dishwash, if it is like 30-20, we are very, very happy about it. So to that extent, the mix is getting perfectly fine, because each product we have different gross margin. So we need to see how best we can manage our gross margin, also keeping the mix intact.
Right. And very lastly, Mr. Kamath, with all the kind of investments, initiatives that we are doing right now, what's the kind of milestone volume growth that we are eyeing?
A very uncertain period, as you see, because Kerala is just, we are seeing that lockdown in this Saturday, Sunday, 100% lockdown. The cases are back. We don't know whether it's a second wave or the third wave. We don't know. But Kerala is one of the big market for us. While it is not affecting our business, because as I told you that people will go and buy, and as long as your products are available, you are able to manage the supply chain, you will be able to get that. But that uncertainty will, will not allow you to launch new products, will not allow you to do some big celebrations or holding the meetings, all those things. To that extent, I will take quarter by quarter. Double-digit growth is very much possible, and which we are doing now consistently for the last 3 or 4 quarters. And we continue to put our best effort. And consumption is extremely robust, both in rural and also in urban. With that, I'm sure this year will be a challenging year, but results will be good.
Absolutely. And I think that's what everyone's eyeing as well. Thank you, Mr. Kamath, so much for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you, get insights from you. Thank you. Stay safe, and speak to you soon again.
Thank you very much. And you too, stay safe. Thank you very much. Bye.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.